Hey there, friends. Brian King, your resident ADHD coach here with another installment of A Cup of Focus. One thing that I'm a big advocate of is the simple power of kindness. Not everybody has to be a world-changing guru with this huge platform and millions of followers who hang on their every word in order to make a difference in the world. There is so much power in just being a good person every day. Just waking up and making a commitment to smile more, to give more compliments, to hold the door for people, to just offer a kind word instead of a sarcastic response. Little things like that go a long way to making a difference in people's lives. But I hear you when you say it's really difficult to do when people are rude and snappy and unappreciative, that it's hard to maintain that commitment to kindness. Well, in many cases, kindness can be a bit of a delayed gratification kind of scenario, where it's not this immediate positive feedback that warms your heart and puts a bounce in your step and makes you feel like, yeah, that was appreciated. Now I feel like it's worth something. Well, in this era of increasingly shortening attention spans and needs for immediate gratification, many of us have lost the appreciation of working towards something, and the payoff for kindness is one of those things. It can sometimes feel like, well, you got to put in 4 years of college before you get your degree and get the big job. Hopefully you don't have to delay it that far, but there can sometimes be a gap between your efforts and the universe or the world responding to it. And kindness is one of those things. Not always, but sometimes. And here's a metaphor or a story that you can utilize to help you kind of hang on until it comes back. Now, before I say this, I know there are a lot of people that walk around and say, well, you should be kind just to be kind. It's its own reward. You should be altruistic and give without the expectation of return. Give me a break, okay? I'm a human being like anybody else. You give because it feels good. People don't give from this place of apathy or altruism or no motivation whatsoever. You give kindness because you want a kinder world. You want to give or you want to receive what it is you give. You want reciprocity. That's how we're wired. And there's nothing to be ashamed of about that. The fact that you give, the problem is when you give and want immediate return, that is a problem because life doesn't always give it to you that way. So if you give knowing that it'll likely come back to you at some point, that's reasonable. Maybe it's not idealistic, it's not altruistic, it's not what you see on the brochures for perfection. It's simply the reality of how we're wired. So with that qualification, let me give you the story or the metaphor that you can use. Think about watering a tomato plant. You know darn well the first time you plant the seed, you're not going to be picking tomatoes that day, but you continue to water it. Still, maybe you see a little bit of growth, a little bit of a sprout. Later on, you see some buds, some blossoms, the beginning of a baby tomato, but you don't rush in and pluck it and say, really, this is all I get? I've given you all this water and you give me this little tomato, really? Well, you're not going to do that because you know that you need to be patient. That the fruit that is yet to be bared is still coming. It's down the road. So you keep watering, Then one day you see this ripe, plump, juicy red tomato and you can pluck it and you can chop it up and put it in a salad, or some people eat it like an apple. I don't get that, not really my thing. You can slice it, put it on a sandwich, and when you bite into it, you say, thank you. Thank you for repaying everything that I poured into you. Now, it'd be nice if that happened with people. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. But the point is, the fruit is further down the road. But here's another little spin on it. One thing that researchers have found, especially in forests, is that the trees tend to create this common highway of roots underneath. so that the forest actually becomes one organism. It's not one tree, it's one root system that happens to produce many trees. But that happens over time. And let's say you water one tree and the water goes down into this common organism and other trees are fed. So maybe this tree over here shows fruit first before the one you've been watering. You with me? So maybe the fruit comes somewhere else, but it is still a payoff for your kindness. So even though you're watering your tomato plant, maybe there are roots of other plants underneath. Those roots also get watered. Those roots produce tomatoes, and you bear the fruits of those that are in response to your efforts of kindness. So even though you're pouring all of your efforts into one person that maybe may or may not appreciate it, you're still putting kindness into the world. That's still having an impact, even if the reciprocity does not come from the person you're pouring all the water on. Follow me? It still goes into the root system that is humanity, the energy that connects us all. And somebody else gets it. It goes inside somebody else's spirit, and they internalize it. They appreciate it. They in turn become more kind, and that's how it returns to you. That's how it bears fruit. So when you're kind every single day, and maybe you are giving it all to the people that day that are not ready to receive it, that don't appreciate it, don't reciprocate it, that is not your indication to quit. That is your indication to keep watering, because you know the fruit is going to come back to you sometime later. That it's a process of nurturing. It's not a transaction. Please remember those words. Kindness is not a transaction. I'm kind to you, and therefore you are kind to me. Sometimes it works like that, but not usually. Often you're kind because you realize kindness is a nurturing energy. It's a way of nurturing that feeling, that mindset, that intention, so that when enough people feel it and internalize it and want more of it, they see the value in giving it. So that's a lot in a short amount of time. Hopefully this has been helpful for you. If so, leave me a comment. And don't forget, I help people with these kind of mindsets, these kinds of shifts all the time, especially related to ADHD. So if I can help you in some way, just reach out. We'll talk about how we can work together. And please share this with somebody that you know that can benefit from it. And until we talk again, this has been Brian. Thanks for being you.